Kathleen McGiveron, and I'm going to be talking about how to fire your ceramics at home. Oh yeah. Alright, so there are two different options. One is that you might go out and purchase a kiln to fire your work in. So if you are having your kiln indoors or in an exterior space, you need to make sure that you're installing your kiln in a safe distance away from other things, and also following the instructions. So you can fire it indoors. You need adequate ventilation. You shouldn't be in the same room when it's on, and then also making sure that you have just adequate ventilation and that there's nothing around it when it fires. It's actually not too bad and not too warm when it gets going. Opening any doors or windows just to let out some of that extra heat is a good idea. But for instance, like you can go walk up, it's like 2,000 degrees in there, but it's not like it doesn't feel 2,000 degrees right beside it, to be honest. It's quite amazing. They are electric kilns, they plug in. Nowadays, they're all typically digital. It's hard to find manual ones, I believe. So they're good to go. You might have to rewire your house and add a different plug-in, right? Mine's a 240 volt, I believe, so I did have to get proper plug installed by an electrician. You should hire somebody to do that, unless you're an electrician. Don't go do that yourself, what the heck. But anyways, adequate plug for it, and then you're good to go. And then you can have it in your inside, it's no problem. I have a ventilation system installed in my own studio. I also have windows in here I can open if I needed to, or some exterior doors. That might be an option. But some people even fire it more outside under a space. That could be an option as well. But just look into, for your kiln manufacturing guides, what kind of space that you need and what distances away from things, etc. for firing. And then again, just don't spend your time inside your studio while it's firing, because it is burning off chemicals and natural things, right? It's whatever natural organic matter is in that clay is now burning and turning into a ceramic piece. It's transforming, it's changing. The matter is literally changing. Or there's glazes on there and we don't want to be breathing that in. So just don't spend time in there while you're firing. All right. So there's two ways to fire. You can either own your kiln, or you can look into different pottery studios around you and see if you can rent some firing time. They might have the options where you can like pay to fire. That would be an option as well. Typically for at-home studios, there's primarily just an electric kiln option. Some people get into having their own wood firing kiln, or their own gas firing kiln, or their own raku kiln, which is a total option as well, and you can get into that. But that is a much more advanced level of understanding clay and also acquiring these things. They might be huge. Like a wood firing kiln is literally fueled by wood. So you gotta be now you gotta be firing that and fueling that fire to get there, right? That's a huge process, and also it creates different effects. All the processes create different effects on your clay when it comes out of the kiln, right? You can create different things by the way you fired it. But standard is just an electric kiln. It's really safe. It is the easiest thing to use, and they come in either manual kilns or electric kilns. Now, when you're firing your kiln, you're going to be firing it to a specific cone. The cone is looks like this. If you're wondering what a cone is, it represents the temperature that the clay matures to in the kiln, right? The temperature it matures to in the ceramic form in your kiln. So that's what a cone represents. Now, if you're digital, they don't require an actual physical cone. They require you inputting what cone it goes to. Now, there is 3 different ranges that you're going to fire to in terms of cones. It's either low fire, medium fire, or high fire, typically, for your clay. There are other processes, like you might be doing overglazes or lusters or decals or decals, however you want to call it. But those are different processes, and we're not talking about that right now. But in general, we're going to fire to a cone. Now that goes all the way from cone 018 up to cone 08, 06, 02, 01, then to cone 1, to cone 2, to cone 3, to cone 6, not 06 or 06, but to cone 6, to cone 8, to cone 11, and those are the ranges of firing. 018 would be very low temperature, or 018. 018 is a low temperature cone, or low temperature firing, compared to cone 11, which would be very, very, very high temperature. Cone 06 is low temperature firing clay, whereas cone 6 is medium temperature firing clay. One thing you need to know is that if you have low fire clay, you need to make sure you're firing it at like cone 04, 05, or 06. If you accidentally fire it at cone 4, cone 5, cone 6, which would be medium temperature ranges, you're going to open your kiln to find a big flat mess. Instead of it looking like a pot, it's going to be a deflated mess stuck to your kiln shelf permanently because you have now overfired your clay. If you want to know more about firing cones, I do have a video on what are cones in ceramics, and you can find that in the description of the video. And that's going to take you into a more in-depth thing. But essentially, you're going to, and I will like literally go in depth on cones and firing your kiln and how to fire it, etc. in that video. So if you're like really confused about cones right now, that's the video you need to watch after this. But anyways, you're going to get a manual kiln or a digital kiln typically. A manual kiln means that you're going to stick in a real cone. One here is erect and one here is not. It's melted. So this one is, before it goes in the kiln, is flat. I hold it up and I see which way it falls to know which way to stick it in my kiln sitter. Again, I'll talk about that in the what are cones in ceramics video. I stick that in the kiln sitter and that will hold the power button on essentially, and my kiln will fire. My manual kiln is going to fire because I have a manual. And it's going to fire and fire and fire and get hotter and hotter and hotter until this melts like this. It's going to melt. And that's going to cause the on button to fall, the thing that the switch that's holding the on button. It's very basic. There's a little lever that releases the power switch, and it turns on and stays on. It gets hotter and hotter until then, and then it just shuts off. When this melts at the appropriate temperature, the maturity of the clay you're firing, right? It's correlating to the clay you're firing, and then the kiln starter drops, it drops off the power, and then your kiln shuts off, and then it starts the process of naturally cooling, and you're not going to open it up, you're not going to touch those peepholes, nothing until it has naturally cooled all the way. Otherwise, you can risk crazing and damaging the work inside or yourself, legitimately. Let's not go there. So that's why this one is bent. It means it has been used. This one is not, because it has not been used. Alright, so that is what you need to know about firing your kiln at home. You need adequate ventilation, you need options to open windows, you need to move everything away from your kiln, and you need to either purchase a kiln and a size that makes sense for the body of work that you're creating. If you're just doing pots, you're doing small scale stuff, you can probably get away with a small kiln. If you're working on large scale stuff, you're going to need a large scale kiln. You're also going to need to take into consideration the type of wiring in your house and the plug you're going to need for it. They're either like a 220 volt, 240 volt, something like that. That's a pretty big plug. And it's obviously not going to go into any plug. That's an industrial size plug. Something like a welder would have. So you're going to need a plug for that. Actually, I think my air compressor has the same plug. Sorry. Anyways, a ventilation system, or just don't be in your room and open up all the doors. And then looking at the manufacturing stuff, suggestions before you fire it. You need to read the instructions, like actually read the instructions for your specific kiln, and then you're good to go. I think that's about it. So if you have any questions about firing clay or ceramics at home, please let me know in the description of this video. I will be happy to help you answer any of that or point you towards a good resource. If you're looking for the next video to watch, please watch my next video, which is what you need to know to start making pottery at home. So please make sure you click the link above or in the description of this video, and I will see you in that episode. Or I'll also have the link to the cones video. I'm going to write a note to myself in there. link to cones video. So if you really want to go in depth and learn about cones and ceramics, and then like, I know in digital they still call it cones or temperature. It means it's relating, I don't use fire in my kiln. I'm not using wood to fire my stuff like they do in wood fire kilns or raku. I still call it firing my kiln when I turn it on, not burning it or whatever, heating my clay. I don't say, I'm gonna go heat my clay. My husband always says, why do you call it firing? You're not using any fire? I know, it's electric. Psh, shh. Or gas, I guess, uses fire. Like my stove. But essentially, what's the point of this? Oh yeah, we still say cones because it's representing a cone. Oh, I broke it. Shouldn't do that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next episode, which is what you need to know about starting pottery at home in a home studio, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.